Hi there, I'm Trevor Coote, and this is Business is Fucking Hard, the podcast where business owners pull back the curtain and talk about the realities of owning a business. We'll hear their stories, learn some lessons, and have some fun along the way. Thanks for joining us. On today's episode, we are joined by Jason Moore. Jason is known as the water guy in Abu Dhabi, United Arab Emirates. His path to owning a natural drinking water distribution business in the Middle East was a winding one. Jason is now the owner of a water business in Abu Dhabi, the co-founder of an organic farm called Loco Foods, located in the Abu Dhabi desert, and a senior advisor to Lighten Batteries, a pioneer in 3D graphene technology and cleaner energy solutions. Jason is a great storyteller, so his journey is being shared in 2 episodes. I hope you enjoy part 2.
So that kind of sets the tone for the current environment for somebody to start a business, looking at kind of the environment that you walked into when you were exploring starting a business, those limitations, the required partnership and those types of things. Let's go back to your story, because there was a transition from Dubai to Abu Dhabi at some point. What did that look like? What was the impetus there?
I went to the golf tournament in Abu Dhabi in 2007 or 8 from Dubai. And Abu Dhabi was this very, very quiet community. But it had a strong underlying vibe, feel to it. That some very powerful things happened here, but kind of you didn't know about it. And I felt that. It felt very special. And and then the people that I met were extremely hospitable, as they are, and it made me curious. So it made me want to go back to Abu Dhabi more. Dubai has a great energy vibe about it, where all the young people want to be there. They have to be in Dubai because they're all there, and a lot of energy. Abu Dhabi is kind of a lot more family orientated and a little bit less transient, but now they're really trying to become leaders in technology, a lot of AI, a lot of the focus on water, focus on energy. I'm working with a battery company. Focus on, I don't want to say all the things to keep maintaining the privacy, but they're trying to become leaders in different industries here. As is a lot of the world these days. A lot of the world is trying to kind of speed up their local advancement in different industries. But I guess at the end of the day, to sum up the question, Abu Dhabi had a special vibe to it, and something propelled me into it to come here. And one day I went to a community service organization called the Emirates Foundation. I went to a brief they were having, and there was a guy giving his lecture, staring off down the room. His eyes were like lasers, these deep, poetic eyes. And we quickly became great friends. His name is Walid. And he actually worked with me a little bit in Dubai when we were doing that real estate fund and real estate brokerage. And we did a lot of things around real estate up until the crash of 2008. And he came and actually worked with me on some of those projects. And we became great friends. And he was the one that eventually helped me make the move to Abu Dhabi when I was kind of in a lull after the crisis.
I want to get to where you are today, because I think there's a bunch of lessons that are, the challenges that you're experiencing in the businesses that you're doing now are not exclusive to the environment that you're working in, the Middle East, the UAE, Abu Dhabi. I think some of the challenges that you're experiencing with your businesses today are applicable to any startup or business owner trying to scale and trying to grow their business. So I want to get there. But was there any other major marker between moving to Abu Dhabi and your current business ventures that you feel like was a major turning point for you, or something significant that happened that kind of got you to where you are today?
Well, moments. Life comes down
Sure.
to a few moments, and it's a lot of it again is about faith and about relationships, and having that positive thinking leads to positive results. But for one example of just a very simple moment is an Emirati friend one morning hanging out, throwing a bottle of water at me, and he's saying, "What do you think?" Because sometimes here, it's about being in the right place at the right time. Just like any timing is important in business, but a lot of times here, timing is also important in coming upon an opportunity, being with the right person
Right.
at the right time when the feeling and the vibe is right. And they say, "Hey, do you want to jump into this?" Well, he threw a bottle of water at me and said, "What do you think?" And I said, "I think water is the future of the world." And now everyone I meet, so many people, I come out of elevators and they go, "The water guy." Or I walk into a restaurant, "The water guy." I'm pretty well known here as the water guy, and it all started just from that simple moment of him throwing a bottle at me.
So let's go there. Let's unpack that, because what did the evolution of this current business? You've got a couple of business ventures now. I had the privilege of experiencing them when I was there. You were gracious enough to give us a tour of kind of this organic farm that you have outside of Abu Dhabi. But also I've had the privilege of enjoying the water that you're sharing with Emirati and expats throughout the UAE. So what did that you touch this bottle of water that gets thrown to you? You're invited to participate. Tell me about the growth and the business plan from that point moving forward, and the execution of that.
Well, the first step is making sure you have a product or service that is differentiated, like my marketing professor taught at UCLA: differentiate, differentiate, differentiate. And our water that we got lucky to receive the distribution rights to, which has a whole interesting story on itself having to do with the 2008 crisis. But that water had the longest life expectancy. The town it comes from had the longest life expectancy in Spain. The water was very light, very delicious, and it had a very Arab-linked history, because the Arabs, the Moors, went into Spain 1,400 years ago, and they named this village Al-Anhar, which is plural for Nahar, which means rivers. Not Al-Anhar is rivers and streams. So they named this village for the rivers and streams Al-Anhar. Well, 700 years later, when the Spanish took over again, they called it, they added their twist to Lan Harun. And then over time, the J became Kha. So now they say Lan Harun. So the water I import, the water we have the exclusive rights to here in this region, is called Lan Harun, Agua de Lan Harun. Agua de Lan Harun is a wonderful water, and we said this is gonna be great because it has the cultural connection. It tastes great, and it's natural mineral water. And it's my belief that natural mineral water is the best because it spends 100 years. It starts as snow, melts through the earth, collecting minerals, forming compounds. According to my scientist friend, if he says it forms an infinite number of compounds practically as it travels for 100 years through the earth, and then the earth's forces push it back up after all of that chemistry done in the earth, and it falls out into a pipe, and then bottle. And we import that in a chilled reefer ship container. Oddly enough, on Friday, we received 2 of those containers that were chilled. They had to go all the way around the Cape of South Africa for unfortunate reasons, but they ended up here chilled and beautiful. And we have new caps that actually are tighter than the old caps, in my opinion. And the water's tasting outstanding. So the business model was basically providing a water that was superior to what was in the market and at a reasonable price. And the journey's been ups and downs, ups and downs. It's hard to introduce a new product into the retail space because of all the fees and it adds up. And then COVID didn't help. COVID beat us up pretty bad, as you've talked about. I've heard on your podcast in the past. But we stuck with it because we believe it's, again, business is timing. And we believe that the market is going to shift a little bit and appreciate natural mineral water more than what is currently here, which is clean, desalinated water here in the UAE, which is safe. And I tell everyone, we're very lucky to have desalinated water in the desert. Extremely lucky. Imagine not having the water at all. Imagine having to be sucked with salty water. But I believe one day people will value the effects of natural mineral water more than they do today, and just a little bump will make a big difference in our cells. And we have the faith and the staying power to keep growing slowly until that bump happens. Once that bump happens, we'll be ready to take advantage of it. And that's not the only thing I'm doing in water, but that's one of my water ventures. That's my company, and I also have the waterdude.com, which is a international water directory that I'm building, and jasonthewaterguy.com, and basically building my brand as someone to go to talk about water. But we can talk about the other activities I do as well when you're ready.
Yeah, I want to unpack this just a little bit more because you talk about a shipping container leaving Spain on a boat that's chilled, going around the southern point of Africa all the way back up into the Middle East to deliver to the port in Abu Dhabi. Like all of those logistics, it has never. I've never been able to wrap my head around looking at a product on a shelf in a grocery store or a dollar store or a convenience store and thinking how many companies took a little bit out of the overall cost of that item, and it's still only a couple of bucks, right? And you talk about the plastic for the bottle, the new caps that you have, the labels that are created, all of the shipping requirements, moving the trucks that move those containers, the electricity that was required in order to cool it. Your margin must be just super small on each bottle.
Man, you're spreading the message that I'm spreading, but no matter how hard I try, it's hard to get people to value all of that goes in to make this beautiful earth product that's sitting on the shelf in front of them. To get that message across in one moment, or even with some of my friends who I've spent hours talking to, people and they still won't buy it. It's so hard. So that's why sometimes it takes just a market, some significant event in the market to shift mentality. It's almost like something's going to come. You have that faith something's going to come, and you have to be ready for it. But yeah, the shipping is chilled. And by the way, I get so nervous when my water's coming because I've had issues in the past where water will change taste. If there's an odor in the container and it travels for weeks with an odor in this closed container, even refrigerated, the air's circulating, but it's closed air circulating, the odor after weeks will enter through the cap and literally change the taste of the water. Imagine you 46,000 bottles ruined because of an odor that was in the container. I think that happened, Jason, when we were there the last time. I think one of your shipments had just kind of suffered through that. Yep, and we couldn't sell any of those bottles. So
unreal.
We lost it. We lost all that money. It hurt really badly. And I learned from it. So now, as you could imagine, whenever a truck shows up to load our water, our factory representatives will walk in and ensure it smells clean and odorless, just to ensure whatever was in there before does not affect, because once you close those doors, that's closed air circulation for weeks.
Yep.
So you got to make sure it's
Yep.
good, clean air. And they also maintain the humidity as well for me. So I've done that to protect the water.
What is the longevity? What do you see the life being of your water company if this shift in thinking or market or consumer kind of preference or whatever that positive outlook that you have, if that doesn't happen, does your company continue to survive? Is your current environment tenable to continue to move forward?
Well, I'll be honest. That's one of my weaknesses, and I know it's not right, but I refuse to fail on this one because I believe in it so much. I believe in the value of natural mineral water. Unless something goes wrong with the actual product that I can't control, that's out of my hands, then I'm okay to fail.
Sure.
But if it's in my hands,
sure,
I'm going to find every way possible to continue surviving and growing step by step until the tipping point happens. I will not give up.
And do your partners have that same faith, Jason?
It's a complicated story, but this is just me, my company now.
Okay, gotcha. So that's actually liberating.
I have to be able to survive financially, and I have to work different angles. And I think you've talked about these scenarios on your past podcast, how important it is, how the different things you have to do, and what to prioritize and so forth. But I have to survive with these companies, whatever it takes. I will not give up, and I have to pay my employees. And those same, discussions that you've had in the past.
Yep. But that must be a little bit liberating for you. One thing that we've talked about in the podcast before is kind of this the word we've used is loneliness, but this sense of responsibility where everything is on your shoulders. All of the decisions are within kind of this chamber that of one, that it's just you. But where you have a little bit more autonomy to be able to pursue this dream without somebody else breathing down your neck saying, where's my financial return? There must be a little bit of liberation in that for you. No?
It's more complicated than that.
Okay. Fair enough.
But it is liberating to know that it's all on my shoulders. It's also extremely, or it can be stressful. That's why I have just like you, man. I like my exercise. I have a strong exercise regimen. I learned a lot from our friend Bob Harvard, who has the book called The Gouge. His workout routine, hitting, walking, jumping in the sauna or the hot bath. These little things, a few times a week, make a big difference to manage the stress level. It makes a huge difference. The value of exercise, in my opinion.
Tell me more about the organic farm and kind of what propelled you into that, and what does that all entail, and how does that kind of fit into your overall vision of kind of the brand of Jason the Water Guy?
Well, it's about everything I do. Luckily, is about clean living from the point of view. My water is natural from the earth, natural and holistic, and great and healthy. For people who are big on recycling, well, our bottles are made from 100% recycled plastic, and we actually at one point sponsored the factory in Abu Dhabi, which turns it into chips and recycles it. So we go all out. And another interesting point at NYU Abu Dhabi, I mentor a lot of students at NYU. And in addition to many other activities I do, I love serving the community. And the students did a study for COP28 for me. And they found that one glass bottle, the same size of our plastic bottle, produces 700, actually they said 900% the carbon footprint. 900% they said in their study, doing the calculation of the bottle coming all the way from Spain. And then they compared tap water versus plastic versus glass. But a lot of people say, "Oh, plastic is horrible for the environment," but then they forget glass is very energy intensive to make. Anyway, so going back to your point, the farm is organic. It's local. It's we only do the wintertime only, which is a very interesting point because the summers here are so hot. 100. So I don't know if you're Celsius on your viewers are Celsius or Fahrenheit, but it gets up to 45 Celsius. 110 plus in Fahrenheit and very humid. But the summers are so hot that we could grow in the summer with our greenhouses, which we did many years ago. But even use a lot of water and a lot of energy, and the plants still are struggling to survive. And there's a lot of great technologies here for food security. But we do wintertime only, and we don't need any greenhouses. We just need a little net when the plants are young to cover them. And then as they become bigger, it's open air in the desert in the winter. Beautiful organic vegetables, and we sell it in Dubai and Abu Dhabi. It's a very small business. I think it was World War II when nitrogen was introduced that the price of produce went way down, and consumers have gotten used to not paying very much for their fruits and vegetables. And we grow mostly vegetables, not fruits here, because of the conditions, the climate conditions, and what grows better here. But the point is, it's hard for a small farm to be very profitable because consumers are only willing to pay a certain amount for their vegetables, even if it's organic. So we don't expect the farm, even though we were given a gift by someone very special here, somebody very high and very special, a piece of land next to our farm. We don't expect it to be a highly profitable business just based on the market dynamics. But we gain a lot of content. We gain a lot of gratitude for what the community appreciates. They appreciate what we do. Our friends appreciate it. We get great vegetables. And what's the word, Trevor? We basically don't make money, but we get happy. We gain happiness from this. It's like one of those communities.
Yeah.
And we're not going to become rich from this. But some of the things I'm trying to make it a little more. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. I was just going to say you've turned it more into a social enterprise. It's not, you're not looking for the profit, the scalability, the increase in the financial return, but you're looking at what is the social impact that we can make and the impact on people's lives.
That's it, and that's extremely fulfilling. And as long as we can, as long as staying power, as long as one can have that staying power with your businesses, and then continue to fine tune, then life is good. And so this is one business that we're doing, and we're trying to add different revenue streams by doing more visits to the farm, which is a group comes and they each pay per head. That's going to help. We're doing date harvest as we speak because the summer season is actually for our date palms. I didn't mention that. There are date palms in the summer, which they only harvest in the summer. Beautiful dates here. And there's a great history and tradition to the dates. So we bring guests to learn about that. And we might eventually turn it into a agri-tourist location, an Airbnb or something like that, where they can wake up and walk outside to their beautiful organic garden growing right in the sand. The sand is fertile here. People don't know that. So that's the farm with my Emirati great friend, and I'm very proud of it, extremely proud of it, even though it's not a huge business.
Sure. And I can attest to anybody contemplating going out and touring that farm. It's quite an experience. We, as I mentioned before, we had the privilege of going out there and getting the tour of the farm, but also being treated to a wonderful dinner in the heat of the desert sun. And it was such a lovely time. Jason,
that's a great chef.
I want to, what's that?
Ashraf's a great chef. It's another cool story where someone in the family couldn't use him, and we didn't want to let him go, so someone else in the family brought him to the house and then to the farm. And a lot of times things happen spontaneously here, and now he's a tremendous
Sure.
chef in the farm. He's from India.
Yeah. Yeah. He was wonderful for sure.
And the name of the farm is Loco Food, like loco, like crazy in Spanish, loco, which is a whole nother story. We were looking to trademark it at the Ministry of Economy, but I wanted to call it local food because we're local. And she goes, "You cannot trademark that. It's too general." I said, "Okay." And she's typing on her computer, this very, very nice lady, I believe from Syria. And she goes, "What about loco food?" And she had no idea that loco meant crazy in Spanish. I said, "You're a genius." So we ended up setting up our trade license called Loco Food.
just on the spot right there.
Yep.
That's awesome. I just want to take one more minute where I'm taking way too much of your time here. You've been so gracious.
Can I mention the battery when you get a chance?
Yes, let's do. So the point I wanted to talk about is your comment around the chapter of the book that you wrote about the hospitality of the UAE and the environment, the pro business environment. So I just want to get your summary of that a little bit. But let's talk about the battery first, and then we'll close out with kind of your comments around that hospitable entrepreneur and business environment in the UAE.
Well, the two tie into each other, and the reason I'm working with what is, in my opinion, the most advanced next generation battery in the world, which you will see in electric vehicles and scooters and consumer electronics globally years down the road, and will hopefully be public at some point very soon. The reason that I am advising them in the GC, and the reason I have a special the reason I'm associated with the company is because of my relationships, and that goes in, and because I love the culture here so much, and I know how the culture works after 17 years. They wanted me, someone who I've known, one of their executives for 15 years. They wanted to go to someone that they know and trust. So basically, this company is called Lyten, Lyten, and they 9 years ago, four co-founders researching chip technology found an accidental byproduct, which is 3D graphene. The guy who invented graphene, it was two-dimensional in his dream that it would have edges. Well, they discovered that, and that super material, that nanomaterial, has enabled lithium sulfur batteries to work, which are high energy density, very low weight, and low cost. Don't ever forget, in all the business these entrepreneurs are thinking about, don't ever forget about your cost. It has to be commercially feasible. Don't ever forget that aspect. And that's what these batteries are. In addition, we do composites and sensors and green concrete. And we have so many patents, and we've raised a lot of funding. The company has raised a lot of funding. And I'll loop that into this chapter in the book. This is an opportunity of a lifetime for me, and the reason I have this opportunity to advise this company is because of my relationships here in the UAE and regionally. And the chapter that I wrote in the book called Abu Dhabi, the Land of Selfless Hospitality, a lot of that chapter is about the value of relationships, and being patient and taking the time to not just be in it for the quick buck or coming here with a stuck-up attitude like you're better than everybody, but instead coming here and taking the time to develop relationships, or partnering with someone who takes that time to develop the relationships. And in return from coming here or working with someone here, you will get, as you rightfully say, business is fucking hard. It's always hard. But here in the UAE and in the region, people are extremely generous and hospitable. So what makes being an entrepreneur here different than the rest of the world, even though it's still hard, is you get kind of people putting their arm around your shoulder and saying, don't worry, you're going to be okay. If you need food, there's food available. If you need help, there's help available. And they love hosting and being hospitable to their guests. And that helps when you're an entrepreneur and you're struggling to get to the next point. It helps to know you have a whole community ready to support you.
And I don't want to minimize all of those comments, because I think it's so important for people to understand that aspect of certainly the United Arab Emirates, certainly Abu Dhabi within that, but even within other cultures, within other environments, being able to find those positive aspects, being able to find that support system, being able to recognize when people want to lift you up and ensure that you're successful. I don't want to minimize all of that with this comment, but I think, Jason, the short time that I've known you, the few interactions that we've had, you do that so well yourself, right? You are out there supporting others. You are the biggest champion of everybody else in that you connect with. But you're so proactive in connecting with people. And I think, people, if anybody had the opportunity to watch you in an environment with other business people or other community people, and all the things that you're saying about falling in love with that region, with the people there, with the culture, but then wanting to give back and wanting to be able to advise on innovative new products that are coming into the country, being supportive of that innovation coming out of a country and a region that has only been finding itself in the last couple of decades in that space. I think speaks volumes to who you are, but also the opportunities that others have to learn from people like you. And I think we've been able to get a lot of that in this interview, and I really, really appreciate it.
We would say in Arabic, they would say hadrin, meaning, actually, I don't even know exactly what that means because the words are so poetic here, but I appreciate your comment, and to one up what you're saying, to back up what you're saying. If anyone on your podcast needs any help in the UAE, just look me up, Jason the Water Guy, and there's somebody here to help you out.
Yeah. And I can attest to that being a very, very true statement.
And I don't know if you want me to bring up your friends and family out here, but I'm very close to them, and they're wonderful, wonderful people. Some of my very best friends, and it helps to have that support structure as well. So thank you for that, Trevor. Yeah,
they're good people. They are good people. Yeah, my sister has been there my older sister has been there for almost as long as you have, or probably about the same amount of time. And my brother-in-law.
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah, and I mean, I see all of that connection. We've had the good fortune of being able to come over and visit all of you a few times. So, Jason, I as I said before, I've taken way too much of your time. I really, really appreciate it. You've been so gracious. What a story, my friend. I really love, the journey that you've been on, and for you being able to share that. And all the very, very best to you as you continue to live out what is your dream and what you see being as added value to the people of the United Arab Emirates and Abu Dhabi.
In the world. And thank you, Trevor. And as my grandfather's friend said many, many years ago, very successful guy from Florida, down toward Miami. I go, what's your key to success? As we were at this nice dinner at my grandfather's house, he said, giving to others. So I'll leave on that note.
Very, very nice. Thanks so much, Jason.
Thank you. Bye.